The daily code snippet. Text-indent is used to adjust the length of the empty space placed before lines of text in a text block. The property accepts lengths in the units we have described previously, as well as percentages. In this case, the amount of indentation is a percentage of the width of the containing block. Negative values are also accepted. There are two experimental values that will have inconsistent browser support. Each line, so the indentation will affect the first line of a block container and each line after a forced line break. Hanging reverses this process. In this case, all lines except the first line are indented. Let's look at some examples. Here is the HTML. We have created classes for different options, creating a text indent using pixels, percentages, ems, and negative values. As previously, we are truncating the lorem ipsum placeholder text for space reasons. And now the CSS. In the first example, we are using a pixel amount to indent the text. In the second example, we are using a percentage. In the third example, we are using ems. And in the fourth example, we are using negative values. And this is how it would display. When you are adjusting the width of the browser, you can see how the percentage value changes and the amount of indentation changes. With regards to experimental values, if you were to use them, this is the correct syntax. Selector, text indent, 20 pixels, or whatever length desired, each line. Selector, text indent, 20 pixels, or whatever length desired, hanging. Text-overflow is used to tell users that more content exists that cannot be displayed because of limitations by the containing element. The content can be clipped, an ellipsis can be added, or a custom string can be added. Text-overflow does not control the overflow of the text limited by its container. It just signals to the user that more content exists. You would still need to use the overflow property for that. Text-overflow accepts the following values: clip, ellipsis, a custom string, or fade. The property can accept two values to specify the overflow behavior for the left end of a line, while the second value affects the right end of a line. Clip is considered the default. The text will simply be truncated. If you add an empty string, and the browser supports this function, the truncation will happen at a transition between characters rather than in the middle of a character. Ellipsis adds an ellipsis to represent the clipped text. Some browsers recognize adding a custom string to represent clipped text. It will display within the content area, thereby cutting the size of the displayed text. The string itself can be clipped if there is not enough space. Fade will add an effect that fades out at the end of a line to a transparency. This also has inconsistent browser support. Let's look at some examples. Here is the HTML. First, we are looking at text meant to be read left to right. And we will look at three examples: clip, ellipsis, and a custom string. Then we will look at text meant to be read right to left. And we will look at the same three examples: clip, ellipsis, and a custom string. Here is the CSS. First, we have to control the overflow, so it is required to set the overflow property and the white space property. We limit the width to force an overflow. Next, we will change the direction of reading using the direction property. LTR signals left to right, while RTL signals right to left. Finally, we set the text overflow property. We will look at clip, ellipsis, and the use of a custom string. This is how this would display. We are looking at the result on the Mozilla Firefox browser, as this was the only one able to recognize the custom string. We did not show examples of fade because inconsistent browser support meant we were unable to visualize the results. Here is the result more closely for left to right text. And finally, here is the result more closely for right to left text. You can see that even the custom string is read in the right to left direction. Presented by Designers Learn Code.